Welcome to the show. Now, activist, self-acclaimed anti-corruption crusader, businessman, medical practitioner, and chairman of Dialogue Group, Mahdi Shehu, has described as selfish the support by former President Olusegun Obasanjo for Peter Obi, the Labour Party candidate, saying his efforts to woo some northern leaders into the project should be rejected by northerners. Now, Shehu is appealing to the northern elders and stakeholders not to buy into Obasanjo's message, saying his antecedents do not reflect him as being sincere. Now, the activist was reacting to a recent visit by former President Olusegun Obasanjo to the convener of the Northern Elders Forum, Professor Ango Abdullahi in Zaria, Kaduna State, after a similar visit by Ango Abdullahi to the former president in Ota. Now, he's saying that the professor's support in mobilizing the forum and the North to vote for Peter Obi should not be accepted by other northerners. He revealed further details of the discussion, which includes the formation of a new group called the Nigerian Project, which is supposed to be the third force to be backed by prominent leaders, including the former military head of state, Ibrahim Babangida. And all of this is being put together to be known as the third force. Well, for more on this, I'm glad to be joined by Mahdi Shehu himself, who's the chairman of Dialogue Group, to help us look at these issues. And he's joining me from the capital of former northern Nigeria, Kaduna, where we'll take a look at all of these issues for the next 60 minutes. Stay with us.
That he is at Zaria to confer with him, solicit for his support, ensure that he mobilize Northern Elders Forum and the entire North for an Obi project. And he promised Ango Abdullahi that I promise you, if Obi forms government, you are going to be a formidable person in that government. You are going to play an important role. We are going to carry you along. This was what Obasanjo told his own group the same day that they met with Ango Abdullahi. Also, Obasanjo told the group that he has also consulted with Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed. And he told Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed his own mission, that they want to form what is called Nigerian Project, which is going to be commissioned and brought to the public in the next 7 days. They are going to bring out and establish and commission what is called the Nigerian Project, the third force. That he told Dr. Hakim that he's asking for that special favor for him, for Dr. Hakim to be part and parcel of this third force project, Nigerian Project, Obi project.
All right, Mahdi Shehu there, and I would like to welcome you to the show. You must have listened to yourself there, being optimistic about the issues you raised. Let's start with this, the Nigerian Project. Why do you think that former President Olusegun Obasanjo is keen on supporting Peter Obi and is wooing top northerners like the convener of the Northern Elders Forum, Ango Abdullahi, and Dr. Hakim Baba Ahmed to join that project?
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Nigeria. Good evening, Africa. Good evening, the whole world. I think that question should have been passed to Olusegun Obasanjo. Ask him, why has he suddenly woken up from a sleep or a slumber and aspiring to promote an Obi? I'm saying that so that you can hear from the horse's mouth, but I'm sure he's going to be economical in telling you the truth. But my intervention is going to be rooted into ancient antiquity, history, philosophy, and logic of Obasanjo. In 1979, precisely look at Punch, 19th of September 1979. The headline was front cover story, 2.8 billion naira oil money missing. Obasanjo left office in 1980, precisely on 26 June 1980. A crude oil tribunal of inquiry was put in place to investigate that alleged 2.8 billion naira NNPC money missing. And to chair that tribunal was Justice Ayo Irekefe, Langiwa, Sula Kurfi, Arthur Mbanifo, and Mr. Vag as a secretary to go and establish the truth or otherwise of that 2.8 billion naira missing money. The tribunal started sitting in Lagos. Part of the people invited to testify before the tribunal on account of the document they had before them was the former president, then Olusegun Obasanjo. He completely ignored all the 7 invitations by the tribunal to appear before it. When he was pressed further, he detailed Chief Rotimi Williams, of blessed memory, to go and represent him with just one simple submission. The submission was that the evidence being sought from Obasanjo by the tribunal, being a public knowledge and a public document, could as well be given by any civil servant. But the reason why they were asking for Obasanjo to come physically is that documents available to the tribunal have clearly established that when General Muhammadu Buhari, then the oil minister for petroleum resources, went for course, Obasanjo took over the portfolio of the president, commander-in-chief, and petroleum resources minister. And in the span of 6 months, he gave heavy discounts that cannot be explained by the act establishing NNPC, beyond his power as a minister, even beyond his power as the president. He kept on giving out discounts and premiums at will, and it led to a heavy loss on the part of NNPC. They wanted him to shed light on that. He vehemently refused. That is to tell you the disdain he has for constitutionality and accountability. So he had this old history.
If I may come in here.
He had this history.
If I may come in here, this same Obasanjo you're talking about appeared before the Oputa panel, which was set up to look at issues that happened in the country. So if he didn't appear before that panel, at least we have record that he appeared before another panel. The circumstances are different. In that particular issue of crude oil sale tribunal, he was an accused, or so to speak, by the documents. In Oputa panel, he was an injured lion. He was there to continue licking his wound and make the wound look fresh on account of Abacha's stewardship and his relationship. So treated very differently. Now I'm going straight to the question. Why do I think an Obasanjo is selling at Peter Obi, quote and unquote? The reason as follows. I'm even surprised that Obasanjo is doing this. I think he is trying to pull a wool on the face of all Igbos. Because just read his book, My Command. Read it cover to cover. Inside the book, he was so proud to own up to the entire role he played in decimating the military of Biafra, in cowing them into submission, in annihilating them, in defeating them. He took over the entire credit of the fail of Biafra agitation that led to the civil war. Not only that, after the war, it was unilaterally agreed, internationally and locally, that there should be reconstruction, reconciliation, rehabilitation. Nobody was reconciled. Igbos were not reconciled. They are still agitating. Nothing was reconstructed. They are still facing dirge of infrastructure. Nobody was reconciled. And Obasanjo was there. He had an opportunity to reconstruct, rehabilitate, to reconcile. Rather than doing that, he left them in full of their blood. I'm therefore shocked that Igbos are now swallowing Obasanjo's trading, hook, line, and sinker,
when documented history is there, gazetted, the role he played in leading Igbos to what they were then, 20, 30, 40 years back.
Okay.
Luckily for them, they are beginning to recover. Therefore, it's surprising that he's selling Obi, and Obi is believing him in spite of documented history of the crime he committed against the entire Igbo nation. Maybe he has meditated, maybe he has prayed over, maybe he is lamenting, and he wants to correct the wrongs. The answer is better left to Obasanjo.
Okay, a very interesting perspective you've got there, and there's always room for repentance, I must say. And who wouldn't even want the former president's support? Because we've seen that almost every person who wants to be president since 2007 has always sought for the support of former President Olusegun Obasanjo. But I want to ask you now,
Not anymore.
what exactly is wrong with Obasanjo seeking the support of the North for Peter Obi? Isn't Peter Obi Nigerian enough to deserve such a support?
Let me say for the upteenth time that under the Nigerian Constitution and all operational laws, there is nothing wrong when an Obasanjo canvassing support for any candidate of his choice. There is nothing wrong with an Obi aspiring to become the president of Nigeria. But then there should be a parameter, a yardstick, and a measurement of assessing whether these people are what they said they are, and they are competent enough, and they have the good conscience to sell and to promote. Let us go to Obasanjo. If Obasanjo is coming to the North to seek for a partnership, to sell a candidate, to aspire to promote, protect, and project an Obi, there are relevant questions that we need to ask him. Under Obasanjo, he destroyed the entire economy of the North. Today, nobody can convince any Northerner. The consolidation of the banks, which saw the total extinction of all commercial banks of northern origin, because we could not raise the money, because we don't have those type of money to sustain a bank of 25 billion naira then, was done deliberately by Obasanjo to bring the North to its own knees.
Is it the same North?
Military officers.
Is it the same North? Sorry to intervene there. Is it the same North that ATIKU Abubakar was vice president in that government and had a lot of senators, a lot of federal ministers and all of that?
Under the Nigerian Constitution, a vice president is just an appendix. He lives and survives at the mercy of the president. Till today, until that section of the Constitution is reviewed, is amended, is varied, I don't envy anybody becoming a vice president. So stop talking about an ATIKU. At that material time, there was nothing he could do. In any event, let me continue. Documented history has shown that after destroying the life wire of the Bank of the North, he went ahead to retire promising young officers of northern origin, Muslims and Christians, simply because we were paying for Abacha's crime against an Obasanjo. Not only that, even in the civil service, people of northern origin were being exited, again sharing Abacha's crime. The only crime of the North is that an Abacha has given a devastating blow to an Obasanjo over a true or a phantom or alleged coup. Obasanjo is fully aware that under the military dispensation, under the military rules, if you are suspected to partake or participate or finance or support or even become aware of an existing coup, you remain guilty. That is the rule of the military. It's not the Northerners' rule. It is the military rule. And therefore, he should go and settle his case with Abacha on Judgment Day. But visiting the sin of the father over the child and that of the child over the son, it is not biblical, it is not statesmanly, it is a crime against common sense, It is a crime against humanity. The father shall not bear the iniquity of the son, neither shall the son bear the iniquity of the father. The wickedness of the wicked shall be upon it, and the righteousness of the righteous shall be upon it.
And this same Obasanjo that you are accusing is not on record publicly to have actually asked Nigerians to vote for Peter Obi and all of that. How would you convince Nigerians that what you are saying is actually what happened during the private visit of Ango Abdullahi to Obasanjo and then Obasanjo to Ango Abdullahi?
Well, in the first place, the day after this, the meeting which took place last week, Ango called the correspondent of Daily Trust, and you can check Daily Trust. He reported that Obasanjo was in Ango Abdullahi's residence at Zaria, and that part of what they discussed were as follows: that they have agreed that ATIKU and Bola Tinubu are no options. This was made public. It's in public domain.
Yes, that's on
Not
record.
only that,
but he didn't say that they should vote for Peter Obi.
Hold on, please. It is on record. Nobody can disclaim that. Number two, Obasanjo has a disdain for Bola Tinubu, for Bola Tinubu's extra courage, extra guts, extra audacity to take Obasanjo to court on account of the creation of additional local government development areas in Lagos. Up to the Supreme Court and Bola Tinubu won. It was only on the coming on board of the next president after Obasanjo that Lagos money was released. He has that disdain for Bola Tinubu. And he told the government that Bola Tinubu is not an option because he has so many issues surrounding himself, his personality, his genealogy, and his academic qualification, such that he have the fear that maybe, probably, perhaps, Bola Tinubu may not make it to the presidential polls. And of course, Ango Abdullahi told him that my grudge with ATIKU is that in 1999, I am supposed to have been nominated as the vice president of ATIKU, but somehow I was blocked. Even a mysterious slot was not given to me. For that reason, I will never promote an ATIKU. Where did I get this story? The moment Obasanjo left Zaria, the following day he went to Abuja and reported back to his group what transpired. And I have said that in my clip. I have said enough. He reported to them that he has reached out to Ango Abdullahi, and he promised Ango Abdullahi that if he supports his own project, the third force, he will ensure that Ango Abdullahi plays a prominent role, an epicentral role, an important role in the Obi project. Similarly, he gave the same offer, the same assurances to Hakim Baba Ahmed. What I don't know is whether Ango Abdullahi and Hakim Baba Ahmed have given him in wholesale and retail their commitment. Maybe passage of time will bring out the truth of the actual thing and the actual answer they gave an Obasanjo. But for sure, if Obasanjo is not promoting ATIKU, and he will never do that, if he's not promoting Tinubu, he will never do that. He is not going to promote Konkoso. We all know this. Who is he going to promote? The answer is very clear. It's an Obi, and he has never hidden his quest for a power shift to the southeast. He has always said that they are being treated with ignominy. It's unfair. They are the people who have not yet tested the presidency. There are so many antecedents. There are so many instances. He doesn't have to come out.
And what are the problems that the North has with Peter Obi? Is the North rejecting him, or the North welcomes Peter Obi with open hands, with open arms to actually come
we want
to
Peter.
eat?
We want Peter Obi to come over to the North himself, not through a surrogate or through a conduit pipe or through a third party. Let him come directly to the North. Instead of going to this house and that house and those houses, there are millions of stakeholders. Let him give advance notice that I'm coming to the North, I'm coming to Kano, I'm coming to Kaduna, I'm coming to this place, to Sokoto, on zonal basis. Let everybody converge and ask me all the questions, and I'll give all the answers. And if that happens to be, I assure you, I will ask him 4 innocent questions. And I want the answer in public. The first question is, we've seen clips going around, not doctored ones, authentic clips, that Obi is given an ample support to Biafran agitators. IPOB, the outlawed criminal gang of IPOB, who have been killing and maiming and killing military, killing SSS, killing everybody, killing Muslims and Christians in the name of agitation. He has been supporting them openly. He has been saying that they are not criminals. They are not a terrorist organization.
Do you have evidence to this effect? Because we haven't seen a Peter Obi coming out, except if you have some evidence of private conversations against him.
Were you to go on break now, before you come back, I want you to have the courage. I will send you a clip now on Peter Obi's support of IPOB. I will send it to you when you go on break, and I hope you can play it to the public. Number two, it is still in our fresh memory that when Peter Obi was presiding over at the governor of Anambra State, we have it on Punch, on Tribune, on Daily Trust, on Leadership, on The Nation. The instruction he gave that all northerners who are staying in his own states must go and register, go through a census, hang an ID card before they can transact any business. That is extremely segregative. It only took the intervention of Konkoso, visited him and said, Obi, if you insist on implementing this year's state law on northerners, I will go back to Kano where I have millions of traders who are of Igbo extraction and do the same. That was what checkmated Obi. Number three, you can't even count the number of northerners killed, maimed, incapacitated, dehumanized while Obi was presiding over. And mom was the word. You have seen it on the social media. His first child was wearing complete Biafran outfit, and he was marching the Nigerian flag.
Well, we cannot independently verify that picture right now, because it's been a subject of controversy if it is son or not.
I have the media handle verified of his son. He posted that picture. If your child can trample over the Nigerian flag, wear Biafran uniform, and you want to preside over Nigeria, come to the north and tell us that what will happen to the north when you take over with that psych in your household. Are you going to excise the entire bribery out of Nigeria? Are you going to send the entire northerners to Niger Republic, to Benin? What will be our own fate? We will ask him endless questions as a governor, as a Nigerian, as somebody aspiring to preside over Nigeria. There are endless questions to that aspiration.
You actually said you had 4 points because we have to go on break right now. But before you said the last point, I want to let you know that Peter Obi actually visited the north as a as an intending presidential aspirant in the People's Democratic Party. As a presidential aspirant, I was on the entourage of Peter Obi that went around several states, Kano, Maiduguri, way up onto Gombe, way up onto Kebbi, Sokoto, and all of that. So I want to place that on record that he visited, but not as Labour Party presidential candidate, but he visited as a presidential aspirant during the PDP.
Let me give you the analogy. If you go to a beer parlor and you want to be drunk, the first bottle will give you some level of utility. The second bottle will add up to your utility. The third bottle will make you tipsy. Subsequent bottles will make you drunk. His visit under PDP is similar to somebody who went to the pub, took a bottle of wine or beer, and started becoming tipsy. After being tipsy, he left and he joined Labour Party. We want him to come over the north again, not drunk in court, not tipsy, but in his real sense as a Labour presidential aspirant, and talk to us. We are open to speaking to people. We are open to listening to the people, but we want people to speak from one side of the mouth not from the other side of the mouth.
All right, and I'll ask you, Madishehu, to hold on while we go on this short break. When we come back, the conversation continues with you. You're still watching the Arise interview. Plenty more still ahead, including the issues of who the presidential candidate of the Labour Party is, and if indeed there's a fear among Northerners that Peter Obi, if he becomes president, may not be favorable to that part of the country. We'll be examining all of this when we come back from the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Arise interview, where we speak to the newsmakers as well as ordinary people doing extraordinary things around the world and featuring the voices at the heart of the conversations. I'm Sumner Sambo, and my guest is still the businessman, self-acclaimed anti-corruption crusader and chairman of Dialogue Group, Madishehu, who is joining me from Kaduna, the former capital of northern Nigeria, to take a look at issues concerning the 2023 elections, and of course some of those who have emerged as presidential candidates after the nominations closed last month. So good to still have you with us, Madishehu. And I've actually watched what you sent. I'm afraid I would have loved to play it, but I can't play it because this interview was on another TV channel, and of course you should understand better why I can't play that here. But I've listened to Peter Obi making the comments there, and of course I've seen the picture you sent. Like I told you earlier on, that picture is still controversial. Until we verify if indeed it's Peter Obi's son, we'll just let it stay like that. But if indeed we must make reference to this video you sent and what Peter Obi said there, that IPOB members are not terrorists as at then, when Nigeria was 57, and he was called upon to shed more light on it, and that the federal government's proclamation calling them terrorists is not something that he was sitting well with him. I would also want to pose a similar question to you. We've seen a lot of northern leaders actually say that Boko Haram members are not terrorists. We've seen some people saying that bandits, before they were declared terrorists, are not terrorists, including President Muhammadu Buhari at a point in time before he became the head of state president in 2015. Isn't just politics that's at play here? Most times when people are not in government, they want to be sympathetic to some things that have some cultural affiliation. Don't you think that Peter Obi may have been saying that during that sort of feeling, when there was a thinking within the Southeast that President Muhammadu Buhari's government had a certain agenda against the East?
Well, you see, interestingly, history always plays out. Go to the Southwest. After the coming back of Obasanjo in 1999, OPC alleged terror, mayhem and carnage, killed, maimed, incapacitated, burnt down, killed so many northerners, Aklos, Shagamu, Mile 12, Ipe, Modokeke, everywhere it was carnage. And Obasanjo kept mum until when the international community rose up before OPC was outlawed. But even then, traditional rulers, clergies, elder statesmen of the southwestern origin, then and even now, are saying that what OPC did was legitimate. That is giving them an umbrella to continue killing